Now we're continuing on by looking at the Holy Roman Empire, which at this time is basically Germany and northern Italy, primarily Germany. And you'll notice the Holy Roman Empire had covered France at one point. That's going to change over time. The Holy Roman Empire really does move around in a historical sense. And we're starting with Speyer Cathedral. It's called Speyer Cathedral because they had an extra one just in case. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't write that down. This is far from the pilgrimage road on the Rhine River. In this case, it's paid for by imperial funds. This is very common because many of the rulers at the time want to curry favor with God, and usually because they've killed rather a few people to get into power. Therefore, they will frequently patronize monasteries and cathedrals. And this becomes a symbol of power and authority of the Holy Roman Emperor, as well as a symbol of the supremacy of the Holy Roman emperors over rivals, which at this point include the Pope. Now, the exterior really does reflect the interior. We see this very simplified structure, something very similar to what we saw at Hildesheim in the medieval. And we see an octagonal dome at the crossing, which is something that would remind you of the Byzantine Empire primarily. As we move inside, the first thing that should stand out are the groin vaults in the ceiling. In 1106, those replace the original wooden roof. And what we see is those groin vaults are used to carry the heavy vault. The piers themselves that hold the groin vaults, the ones that are in the corner of each groin vault, so this one here, are reinforced to take the extra load that they would be carrying. And we'll see an arch between each groin vault. This is compartmentalizing it so that each groin vault is simply holding the weight of what's directly above it, which makes a lot of sense. Here what they're doing is they're striving for height, because with a groin vault you can build a lighter vault, which means I can build higher and in this case create a larger clerestory. And as we can see, they use groin vaults, which are symbolized by the X's that you see in this floor plan, both in the aisle as well as in the main nave. Although in the aisle you'll notice there are two groin vaults per reinforced pier rather than one because they're much smaller. As we move back into the church, you have to understand the forces that are going into this are pushing those walls, those high vertical walls, outward. And this is going to be a problem because it wants to break the wall around halfway along the clerestory, roughly. So later on, they'll put in these iron rods, which are there to pull in on the arch and put the stone under compression so that it's going to hold much better. But it creates a very expansive interior space and a great deal of verticality, which should bring the parishioners' thoughts to the heavens. And by looking up at the ceiling, at this incredible miracle of a ceiling being suspended above you at this height, it's going to hopefully make you think of God and the heavens above. Now, as we move into Milan, we're looking at Sant Ambrogio, and we're dealing with Milan as part of the Holy Roman Empire because they do rule Milan at the time, and a lot of Milan is going to be influenced by German ideas of architecture. It's built to honor Sant Ambrogio, Milan's first bishop. And this is one of the last churches that we'll see with a Christian atrium, with that early Christian atrium out in the front. We also see a dome, that octagonal dome, that form that is very German that we've seen before. There is no clerestory, and when we go inside, the building is particularly low and squat, with no transept, so this is basilica form. Although we do see something new. It looks like groin vaults in the ceiling, but really these are rib vaults. And rib vaults, basically everything between the ribs is filler. It's not necessary. The ribs themselves are carrying all of the weight. What this means is I'm building something that's going to be much stronger, even stronger than a groin vault, and it's lighter, so theoretically it can be higher, although we don't see it here. Now, the groin vault is basically two barrel vaults that intersect. The rib vault is the same, except we're focusing on those corners of the rib vault that would normally protrude, and we're placing ribs in those positions to carry all of that weight. So it's a remarkable structure.